The thing about the big brown piece of junk is it rides high enough that I don't need to jack it up at all. So let's get under here on the creeper. Quit being a creeper! Anyway, we'll get the creeper lined up here and armed with our wire brush wherever that went. I think that's in the Pontiac's wheels actually, because I didn't take it out of it. Well, wait a minute, I see it. Oh, yeah, it's under the truck, right where we want it to be. How awesome is that? That's what you get sometimes when you get lazy. Sometimes you get lucky. Oh, God. Okay, now let's see what we have here. Well, we got our steering box. We got our idle arms there and there. And we have the tie rod end that I replaced a while back. And then we have the factory tie rod end right there. And I don't think the ball joints on this truck are serviceable, but I can see that one rubber boot on the ball joint is cracked. So we're going to get under here a little more and do a thorough, in-depth inspection of the front end of this truck. This truck uses a different suspension system than my Pontiac. This is a Chevrolet truck from '94. My Pontiac's a Pontiac from '97. I have 3 or 4 different grease zerks on this truck on the driver's side and the front end. I have the upper and lower ball joints. I have the tie rod end. Then I have a coupler on the steering box system. And I'm going to do the upper ball joint right now with the grease gun. And then I'm going to do the bottom ball joint. Then I'm going to move to the tie rod. And then I'm going to do the coupler on the steering box linkages. And then I will move over to the other side of the truck and just repeat the process. If you look real carefully, you can see that I just greased this side of the truck, the tie rod, the upper ball joint, the lower ball joint down there, and then that linkage right there that's got a grease zerk on the back side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire the old girl up, turn the steering wheel the other direction, and then grease the other side of the truck. Side's opened up. We're going to do the same exact process on this side. We're going to clean the grease zerks up, then we're going to grease everything. And while we're doing this, you can see right there that I'm going to need some new bushings for my sway bar pretty soon. So keep in mind to inspect everything down here so you know what's good and what's bad. Because that middle bushing in that sway bar kit is about shot to hell. Watch carefully. Don't know if you can tell or not, but that rubber boot is starting to swell as I put grease in that tie rod end. And if you feel it, it feels kind of squishy. So when you're doing this, watch your, that's about 4 pumps, maybe 6. And another test I guess you can do is actually grab your tie rod, and if it moves like that, you know it's still good. I replaced this tie rod, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 1, because I got in my truck one day and I turned the wheel in the driveway and it goes clunk, and I immediately knew what was wrong. I needed a tie rod end. But you know, in 17 years of this truck's life, that's the only suspension part that this truck's needed, so I guess what they say about Chevrolet is true. So that was a video on how you do greasing a chassis on a '94 Chevy truck. You want to make sure you get all the points of interest, which is to say you want to make sure you grease everything. For example, I missed the 2 idle arms because I didn't realize they had grease zerks on them, because the tops of each idle arm were just covered in grease and dirt. I also got a war injury, so just take your fingers, and anything that feels round and small may be a grease zerk, so get out your wire brush or any other way of cleaning it and wipe all the dirt and grease off, and then see if you can get your grease gun fitting on there. Like this little guy over here, I had to move the wheels a lot to get it to line up between the transmission hoses, which look like they're about ready to rust into, typical GM product, and the lower rad hose. The idle arm on this side wasn't too bad to deal with because he has a lot of open room ahead of the frame and behind the steering box, which is that big thing right there. But I got the lower and upper ball joints, I got the tie rod ends, inner and, well, Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, that's a tie rod end, inner one. I got the inner and outer tie rod ends, lower and upper ball joints on each side of the truck. And then I got the 2 idle arm grease zerks. And I don't think the steering gear has any grease zerks on it because there's going to be grease already in there. Unless you take the top off and do that. But I'm not dropping that box off. I have no desire to do that, and the steering in this old truck works just fine. I think that's all the grease zerks on the truck. There may be a couple on the back. You know, like the transmission linkage or maybe the brake pedal linkage under the hood, but I'm not going to worry about those because I have to bleed the brakes in this truck anyway because the pedal's soft. And 5 times out of 10, when I push my brakes, I get the brake warning light. Anyway, look forward to that. And also, when you're doing this on your own personal vehicles, make a note of whatever might need replacing. Like on the Pontiac, I learned that I'll have to replace my driver's side CV shaft sometime. And on the 94 pickup truck, I learned that I'm going to have to do my sway bar bushing sometime in the future. So make a note of this stuff, because you don't want to lose a ball joint while going down the highway doing 60 miles an hour, because that's a good way to roll your vehicle. Anyway, until next time, this is the Keykeeper, signing off.